Welcome, colleagues. Thanks for tuning into this brisk community briefing. Today, we're tackling something I know is on all of our minds: authentic assessment in our engineering courses right in the thick of the generative AI era. We're going to unpack a really fascinating new approach from a recent study by Zhang and Iyer. Let's just dive right in because this directly impacts how we look at what our students are actually learning.
So let's hit the core pedagogical problem head on. Look, we all know how valuable writing-to-learn activities are, right? Learning plans, reflections, they're supposed to force students to articulate their understanding. But here is the stark reality we're facing today. When a student can just copy and paste a generative AI response into a typed assignment, it becomes an incredibly weak window into their actual reasoning. They don't have to engage with the material at all. And when that happens, it totally kills the utility of writing to learn. We completely lose visibility into their cognitive process.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, just have them speak their answers. But let's pause and be totally anti-hyped for a second. An oral response does not guarantee unassisted internal thought. Let me be super clear. We're absolutely not claiming that speaking aloud magically proves the authenticity of a student's answer. It's not some silver bullet against AI usage. We have to live in the real world. Which naturally leads to the big pragmatic question I'm sure every single faculty member is asking right now. Can students still just use AI before they start speaking? Well, yes, absolutely. Now, sure, a short, time-windowed spoken assignment could elicit more of a student's pure thinking, assuming they're speaking off the cuff from their own reasoning. But we have to be realistic. In reality, a student might absolutely open up ChatGPT, generate an answer, and basically prep their thoughts using that AI before they ever hit record.
So, what's the actual pedagogical win here if they just do that? Well, imagine a student generates that AI text. They still have to verbalize that response, and they have to do it within a strict 4-minute time window. The massive gain here is that by forcing them to actually say the words out loud, the concepts have to pass through their own speech. Speaking, the path forces that information right through their brain. They have to internalize it, at least to some extent. And pedagogically speaking, that is vastly superior to a mindless typed copy-paste that literally never even engages their cognitive pathways.
And that's exactly why we need to view this time-windowed oral format as a complementary modality. It is definitely not here to replace traditional writing-to-learn activities entirely. Not at all. Students are still going to do written assignments. But this oral response, it adds this great new layer, a structured, spontaneous articulation that works alongside their writing to give us a much richer overall picture of their learning.
Next up, transcription fidelity, not grading. Let's set some clear boundaries on what this specific study is actually looking at, which is the exact, limited scope of the cloud pipeline they developed. It works like this. Instructors send a link, and the system records a maximum 4-minute audio response from the student. Then, it automatically transcribes that audio using the OpenAI Whisper API. Now, here's a crucial design choice. Students can read and review that transcript the second they finish recording, but they cannot edit it. No tweaking allowed. Researchers then took those system-generated transcripts and rigorously compared them against human-verified transcripts to see if the AI actually heard the students correctly.
But I really want to emphasize a bold reminder here. This pipeline is absolutely not an auto-grader. At this stage of the research, the system assesses transcription fidelity only. Full stop. It doesn't diagnose learning, it doesn't hunt for misconceptions, and it definitely does not grade the students in this study. Reliable, rock-solid transcription is just the mandatory first prerequisite before we can ever dream of building trustworthy AI-powered assessment rubrics down the line.
Moving on to classroom evidence and accuracy. Let's look at the baseline data. The system was tested by 19 unique undergraduate students across 2 different engineering courses. In total, this gave researchers 51 rated time-windowed oral submissions. We're talking real-world classroom data, learning plans, evaluations, reflections, all used to verify if the Whisper API could actually handle the complex nuances of student speech in an engineering context.
And the numbers here are honestly fascinating. Let's break them down real quick. The word error rate came in at about 7.85%, and the character error rate was super low, at just around 3.78%. But here is the real kicker. The average semantic similarity score was a massive 0.93 out of 1.0. To put that into perspective, it means that even if there were tiny transcription hiccups, an inserted here, a slight misheard word there, the text completely preserved the student's intended meaning. The fidelity is absolutely there to support text-based analysis of their reasoning. Plus, we've got to look at how the students felt about it. Turns out, the students completely agreed the system heard them correctly. Over 82% of those rated submissions received 4 or 5 stars for transcript accuracy from the students themselves. That brought the mean score to 4.33 out of 5. They basically looked at the unedited text and confirmed, yep, that's pretty much exactly what I meant to say.
Finally, next steps. Join our community research. Because the pipeline actually works and captures meaning so well, the researchers are sending out a massive invitation for cross-institutional collaboration. They're calling on all of us, engineering faculty everywhere, to adopt this time-windowed oral method in our own courses. The big idea is to implement the pipeline to collect a much larger and more diverse set of data, analyze those oral response transcripts together, and then publish our joint findings. It's a real chance to advance the whole field of authentic assessment.
Is an opportunity to actually be proactive in the generative AI era instead of just constantly reacting, right? Which leaves us with one final thought. We know that typed copy-paste assignments are failing to show us true cognitive effort. And we know that making students verbalize their reasoning forces them to at least internalize those core concepts. So, the question is, are you ready to join the community research effort and start capturing authentic student thinking? Thanks so much for exploring this briefing with us today.